Well, very good morning to you. It's the 25th day of the month of July 2022, and we have just about 14 days to the election. And of course, Kenyans will be lining up to elect their leaders. That's next week, but one Tuesday. So that's a very short timeline. In terms of also looking at the IEBC's preparedness on the election, a number of issues have also come up. We will be delving much deeper into that conversation with my guests this morning. But then there are also other stories making headlines in the country. Let's take a look at what's also been happening. My name is Zainab Ismail. More than 20 people are feared dead after a Mombasa-bound bus plunged into Nithi River along the Meru-Nairobi highway on Sunday evening. This is according to the Tharaka Nithi County Fire and Rescue Team Manager Alex Mugambi. The bus fell off the bridge into the river about 40 meters below as it was on transit from Meru. Bodies were since scattered in the water and on the riverbank as the rescue mission being carried out by the Tharaka Nithi County Fire and Rescue Team. Police officers and members of the public still continue. Those who witnessed the 6:40 p.m. accident say the bus could have developed brake failure as it went down the Nithi slope. An eyewitness said the bus was at high speed when it hit the guardrails and fell into the river. We're keeping a close eye on those developments, and we shall be bringing you more details on the situation as we continue to pray for those affected. And like I said, we will be keeping a very close eye on the situation. At this point, we know about 24 people who've lost their lives in that accident, but the number is not exact at this point. That was a couple of hours ago, but our reporters and crew is there. We'll be getting more details from them. What other news on the latest public spat between the two key bodies at the center of securing the August 9th general election? On one hand, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has gone all out to provide details about who the gentlemen held at the JKIA on the night of July 21st are. However, as Leila Mohammed reports, the detailed report posted via its Twitter page in the early hours of Sunday appears to be stirring the pot, with each party expressing concern about how the other is handling the matter at hand.
Despite several attempts to get the state agencies at the center of this latest saga to appear on camera, none were prepared, instead sending us to official documents already shared with the public via their social media pages. The main question was whether the three people at the center of this current crisis have departed the country, as reported late Saturday. When we asked for confirmation, the Immigration Department sent us to the DCI.
And as a result of this confirmation, this morning I've issued instruction that the suspect in custody to be released and handed over to IEBC.
In his notes to the IEBC, George Kinoti draws a picture of Jose Carmago Castellano's travel from Panama to Nairobi's JKIA aboard a Turkish airline flight number TK607, landing on July 21st. Customs officers at Terminal 1A are said to have discovered an unusual parcel in the gentleman's luggage. Using their monitoring screens, which they alerted and detained him for interrogation about the contents of the baggage he was carrying.
Our police officers at the JKIA arrested a foreigner entering in the country with election-related stickers.
According to the DCI, Carmago Gregorio and two others were to report to Abdullahi Abdi Mohammed's offices in Nairobi, and not the IEBC, who did not have their official at the airport to meet them, or the materials they were carrying destined for the commission. According to DCI, Gregorio's inability to provide the police with an IEBC contact raised concerns among security officials.
As per standard procedure and arrangement with IEBC, we were not notified of such an import beforehand to provide necessary security and escort.
In his luggage were stickers for 10,000 polling stations in 11 counties, all wrapped in stacks and covered with polythene wrapping paper.
The said stickers were not declared as per the law when they were impounded at the airport. Secondly, the stickers were not accompanied by the IEBC officials as per routine procedures.
After questioning, Abdi Abdullahi's name came up, with Karmago telling Kenyan officials that the former had invited him into the country, stating that he was his employee and not affiliated to the IEBC.
We shall, as a commission...
IEBC, on its part, maintains that the persons arrested at the airport are indeed employees of the commission, and the cargo they had on them was genuine property of the commission, and that they had been released from lawful custody.
Let Chebukati come clear, atuambie what is this, kwa sababu unajua kuna zemanga hivi mahali ambapo waliona nyoka utakangi kufanya nini, kuotea juu hapo.
Hawa askari na hawa IEBC, maana hao ni watu ambao tunategemea sisi kama wananchi, wanastahili wafanye kazi wakiwa kitu kimoja, maana wasipofanya wakiwa kitu kimoja, hiyo inaonyesha picture mbaya.
A laptop, several flash disks and a cell phone were recovered in the luggage of the suspects, goods that the IEBC announced were critical for the management of the election. Both agencies have accused each other of high-handedness, with DCI urging Chebukati to put his house in order and desist from intimidating and blackmailing other equally responsible players in exercising their rightful duties by constantly misusing the media through press statements or otherwise. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Well, the discord within the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has the potential to plunge the country into an election crisis just 2 weeks before the August general election. Disagreements between the police and the commission are certainly casting doubts on the agency's ability to run polls in a free, fair and credible manner. Kevin Mutai also reports that calls for a unified IEBC are now getting louder.
The trouble witnessed within the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission just 2 weeks to the polls has raised a red flag, putting IEBC in a tight spot over its level of preparedness to carry out the election.
It is very unfortunate that it's coming up at this time, because our expectation is that at this 11th hour, what the voter in Kenya is interested in is to know how ready IEBC is in conducting the election that is due. We want to know whether the register is in place. It is from the sweeper down there to Chebukati up there. He has to bring all these people and make them realize that they have a responsibility to Wanjiku, and they have to deliver this election if this country has to move to the next stage. If it fails, and I've said many times, if we do anything wrong, it is going to be very unfortunate, because the country is sadly very badly divided.
But the recent spat between security and IEBC officials surrounding the arrest of 3 Venezuelans at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport who had sensitive election materials in their possession has also exposed the underbelly of the electoral agency. This has raised concerns about the installation of the technology required for the election and fears over claims of rigging the polls. The commission has been accused of delving into secrecy in how it handles the elections management.
Chebukati is in command. And if he's in command, let them come up and discuss this matter and give the public what is right. It is not good for the country for our leaders to appear quarreling in public, especially over such a sensitive matter. It just sends a wrong signal. And you know, there is nothing as dangerous as going forward for elections when the public, when political parties, when political leaders don't have confidence in the Electoral Commission.
This is also seen to be the cause of division among the commissioners who are not speaking with one voice.
I'll also urge the commissioners, today as we head for the election in the next 2 weeks, to forget about their personal differences, to forget about whoever may have been their godfather in being appointed commissioners, and focus on the country. Because their differences, although they may look at it locally, can lead into the problem that we had in 2007.
Tumwa is advising IEBC to bridge the existing gaps and work towards ensuring that the Commission gains public confidence and trust as the country prepares for the election.
What the chairman should do is to get together with his team, look at exactly what happened. The team spirit is required today more than ever before, so that they can come up and tell us, yes, perhaps this information came up, perhaps this man was hired by us, but we didn't relay the information. But as I have said before, transparency in the electoral process is vital, especially at this moment.
Kevin Mutai, NTV in Mombasa.
We have said...
All right, and we will certainly be delving much deeper into that conversation. Well, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga has withdrawn from the presidential debate scheduled for Tuesday, that's tomorrow. The Secretariat has, however, affirmed that the debate will go on as planned. Naima Sampao has that story.
Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga has announced that he will not attend the presidential debate. In a statement released on Sunday morning by the spokesperson for the Raila Odinga Presidential Secretariat, Professor Makau Mutua confirmed the candidate's position, saying Odinga cannot share a national podium with a person who lacks basic decency, labeling UDA's William Ruto as a man who has no regards for ethics, public morals or shame.
We do not think that we should participate in duping Kenyans. Now, our competitors routinely take truths and twist them to achieve political objectives, and we don't think that that is in order.
The announcement raising questions on the position of the debate as the Azimio plans to hold a televised parallel debate. However, the Presidential Debate Secretariat has confirmed that the debate will go on as scheduled. Odinga's decision has, however, been met with criticism from his opponents.
The man who has no plan has run away because the people of Kenya are demanding from us leaders to have clarity in what we want about Kenya and the future of our country. Tunaelewana jameni? Ule mzee wa kitendawili amekimbia. Amesema hawezi kuja kwa mjadala kwa sababu hana mpango. Hajui atakuja kusema nini. Hana mpango. Na mimi nataka niwahakikishie wa Kenya ya kwamba hiyo debate mimi nitakuwa pale asubuhi na mapema.
Mumeona huyo mzee? Kwanza alikuwa anasema anangojea debate na rais wetu mtarajiwa. Alipoona Rigathi Gachagua akampili huyo mama, like I said, Rigathi peeled Mother Karua like an onion. Alipomaliza mzee akapata uoga. Kwa sababu ukiona mwenzako ananyolewa, kichwa chako weka nini? Maji.
The presidential debate preparations are currently on top gear. Naima Sampao, NTV.
All right, and on the campaign trail yesterday, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition set up camp in Mount Kenya, touring Tharaka Nithi, Embu, Laikipia, and Nyandarua counties. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga has accused Kenya Kwanza candidate William Ruto of using public funds to conduct his campaign. Ruto and his running mate Martha Karua called on Kenyans to vote for them in the August 9th election, promising to build a united country free of corruption and ethnic divisions. Our regional reporter Margaret Kimathi has that story.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga has accused the Kenya Kwanza presidential contender William Ruto of using public money to bribe Kenyans while claiming to be generous.
Gari basi ya shule inaofanya gari ya askofu milioni 10. Jamaa anatoa kila mwezi anapewa milioni 100, mshahara yake milioni 2.
Raila Odinga has said that youth unemployment and the high cost of living are the result of corruption. He claimed that Kenyans are highly hardworking and that the government collects a lot of money as revenue. But instead of going back to the people, the money ends up in the pockets of a few people in power who steal and use it to purchase power.
Msikize propaganda ambayo inaeleza na wale wengine. Wale ndio wamepaa leta Kenya fani hii sahihi. Kuna maneno mengi domokaya. Wale hawawezi.
Heshima si utumwa. Uniheshimu ni kuheshimu. Kama huwezi heshimu rais wa nchi, hutaheshimu mwananchi. Na kama hutaheshimu mwananchi, hata mali yake hautaiheshimu.
In Embu County, Martha Karua stated that for the first time, Kenya had the potential of having a female deputy president and asked women to vote for Raila Odinga, assuring them that he would protect their interests.
Kuendelesha kazi ya kubadilisha Kenya, vijana waweze kupata kazi, wakulima waweze kupata pesa kwa mfuko, ndio Kenya iende mbele.
The Azimio sibling rivalry played out among gubernatorial candidates. Mzalendo Kibuja of NARC Kenya, Namuka Gwima of Wiper and Erastus Njoka of Jubilee. Raila Odinga asked the three candidates to sit down and agree on whom to support to avoid losing to the Kenya Kwanza candidate. Margaret Kimathi, NTV.
And while on the other side, Deputy President William Ruto has asked his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to stop meddling with the general elections preparation and to stop using security agencies to intimidate the IEBC. Ruto spoke at the historic Kapkatet grounds where he asked the South Rift to support his presidential bid, as Bridget Singana reports.
Deputy President William Ruto returned to the Kapkatet grounds to a charged reception. These grounds have all along been significant for the Kipsigis and by extension, the larger Kalenjin community in determining their political direction every electoral cycle. And this time, the Deputy President sought the blessing of the community as he seeks the presidency for the first time.
Tulikuja hapa tukaomba kura yenu 2013, 2017, mukawa watu wakarimu, mukawa watu wa kutuamini, mukatupatia kura zenu na imani yenu na mukatuombea, ndio tukaunda serikali ya Kenya. Mimi nasimama mbele yenu watu wa Kapkatet niseme asante sana.
Ruto telling his kinsmen that his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, had betrayed their power-sharing deal that would have seen him automatically ascend to the State House.
Uhuru peke yake na watu wachache wametuacha. Na Uhuru kwa sababu ni binadamu. Tumemwambia my friend Uhuru Kenyatta, hata ingawaje umetusaliti, sisi tunakuheshimu na sisi tunakusamehe na tunakutakia heri wakati unaenda nyumbani kupumzika.
Kenya Kwanza defending the independence of the IEBC from interference by the president and security apparatus in the country.
You have 2 weeks as president of Kenya. You have a duty, a constitutional duty, to make sure that we have free, fair, democratic elections. Please, we want to ask you not to allow the security agencies, people who have sinister motives, to intimidate or blackmail the IEBC or to undermine the elections of 9th of August. You have a duty. We know you are also the chairman of Azimio. Please don't confuse your duties as the chairman of Azimio and your duties as the President of Kenya. As the President of Kenya, you must serve all Kenyans equally.
We shall also institute an inquiry to public officers, public servants who have been used to try and undermine democracy in this country. And we want to tell you that you can undermine democracy, but you cannot defeat democracy.
There are more than 800,000 registered voters in the South Rift, an area that has historically supported the Deputy President, but fissures of sibling rivalry were evident here, with the DP calling for a 6-piece vote in favor of UDA.
Tumeamua pale kwa mulima, tunachagulia William Ruto kutoka MCA, mbunge, senator, mpaka governor UDA. Na mimi nasikia hapa watu ya Kericho na watu ya Bonde la Ufa mnataka kuleta mchezo. Hiyo mchezo mnaleta muache. Pale kwetu watu ya independent tunaweka hao grupu moja na Azimio.
Na mimi nataka mwambia programa, you need to allow the other candidates as well kusema yao. Usiwakataze, mwambia other candidates to also do the same. Sindio? We are going to vote as a block for the presidential candidates. The other seats, Your Excellency, tutagombania. Na hiyo ni ukweli kila mahali. Na ninakwambia that is true both in Bomet and a number of other areas in this region.
The Deputy President leaves the Kapkatet grounds sure that his home turf, the South Rift, will vote for him unanimously at the general election. He is expected in Nakuru County this coming week. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Kericho County.
Thanks, Bridget, for that. Well, that's been on the campaign trail yesterday. We will be seeing what's going to happen today. But remember, just 14 days to the election. Very interesting developments in the political scene in the country. Time to look at the newspaper headlines. But before that, of course, I'd like to introduce my panel this morning. Will take us through as well on the newspaper. On my immediate left, Philip Chebunet. A very good morning to you, lecturer, political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hesbon Owila, media and communication expert. Good morning, Hesbon.
Good morning. Good
Indeed. To see you. Good to see you. And Dennis Ndumbi, of course, policy and governance expert. Good morning, Dennis.
Well, good to see you.
All right, good to see you. Thank you so much. So I think we'll just start with the Daily Nation. And it's not been actually a very good morning. 24 dead in Nithi Bridge as bus crashes. The death toll could rise in coming hours. The police are saying that. And of course, the story is at the very end of the Daily Nation. And it's really not a very good morning, by the way, Philip.
It's a sad one for the country. Right. And we'd like to show our condolences to the families. Indeed. And we urge Kenyans to be more careful even as we approach the election.
All right. All right, Philip, and we maybe could just get someone to fix that microphone, not very clear. But let's get to the thick of it, which is Decision 2022, 14 days to the elections. And with the Daily Nation inside Raila and Ruto business empires, from the real estate to energy to hospitality to agrochemicals and everything in between, a 6-month investigation has revealed interesting details about the riches, claimed and unclaimed, of the two men who were just an election away from becoming Kenya's president. What do Ruto and Raila own, and why does it matter? That's on page 5, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's a whole splash on the Daily Nation. It's the focus on the Daily Nation today. Dennis, you know, when you look at this, I don't know if you've managed to read the entire story there by the Daily Nation, but they're also asking a very important question. Why does it matter what they own?
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers. I think, first of all, let me start with condolences to those who have lost their loved ones in that grisly accident in Nithi. And we pray that the Lord strengthens them. And also we pray that God covers this country against any demonic motives they are about to spill blood, whether via roads or any medical instances or even political. I think we we are in a space in this country whereby both political divide, there's aspersions that are being cast to take the nation where it doesn't deserve to be taken, and to lift off the peace, the peace environment that we should enjoy as a nation. I think what any public servant owns is of interest to many of us and the entire country. And I think principally most of it would be reliant on matters of integrity and thereabouts. So I haven't read,
the entire report there.
Publication. I'm just hoping that there's no bias whatsoever. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. A lot of these publications, I have come to the realization, the truth that possibly there could be bias in it. So I'll read, and then thereon I can give my submission.
Oh, fair enough. Hesbon, I don't know if you have anything to say about this.
Well, I think fair enough to the media, and kudos to the media, that they decided to do a splash of the two leading presidential candidates.
Right.
So, first of all, just from the fact that they covered the two of them, allays any fears of bias, so to speak. And just like Dennis has said, it's just important, when journalists, invest their resources and time to dig deep, they only do that because it's a matter of public interest.
All right.
What naturally we get is what happened, who it happens to, where and when. But such stories now go deeper into telling us why and how.
So it is indeed actually important to know who owns what, and especially these are the main contenders who will be leading the country.
And I think the most important thing is it gives us pathways now to investigate or to find out more on how. How did they make this money? How did they build their business empires? And to what extent, are we looking at a track record that is characterized by integrity or lack thereof?
All right. Philip?
I think it's important because, first of all, you find that you cannot run to be president if you don't have any money. So I think Raila Odinga and William Ruto have been legislators for a very long time. They have been in business. And so this is just normal. I think every other person, if they would give a profile, I think every other person has businesses, even my friend Esponia and Dennis. So it's only that they have not been published, but everyone has businesses, everybody is hardworking, and I think this is good to show that they are doing well.
Matters of public interest. Well, all right, still on the Daily Nation. You can't get this whole report. It's a 4-page splash on the Daily Nation, page 4, 5, 6, and 7. But let's get to one issue that has suddenly created quite the controversy and is hounding the nation. And it's about the 3 foreign nationals who were detained after being found with undeclared electoral materials. So DCI's raid, Ruto's office, in courts amid Kinoti Chebukati row over Venezuelans, and you know how that story has gone. And it's now become a war of words between the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, which escalated yesterday with the publication by the latter of a lengthy statement that accused the Elections Agency of misrepresenting facts, lying and laxity in the management of this year's general election. And that's a statement by the DCI. It was followed hours later by an inspection by senior police officers of an office in the city centre associated with Deputy President William Ruto, where a nation team found workers moving electronic and internet servers, cabinets late in the afternoon. IBC had on Thursday evening protested the arrest of the 3, saying that they were part of the electoral agents and, of course, employees of Smartmatic International, the company hired by IBC to help with the technology to be used in the election. I'll start with you, Hesbon. I mean, this is quite a controversy. Looking at just 14 days from now, we're heading into an election, and you have this situation at hand. IBC on one, and you have the security organs on the other hand. fighting over this, over 3 foreign nationals who apparently are inside the country over dubious activities.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's just important that because of the nature of the visitors that brought them into the country and how they came into the country, we get to the bottom of this.
What do you read from this?
Yeah, because I read a lot. It's only that we cannot jump into conclusions because we don't have the investigative infrastructure to, you know, to make our own conclusions. We depend on the DCI. But I think there are critical issues that probably can lead us to very robust conclusions. These are foreigners, and they are from a Latin American country called Venezuela. Then they are not employees of IEBC. They are not employees of Smartmatic. They were not coming to, you know, deliver anything to IEBC or IEBC officials. They were coming to see a certain gentleman whose name is in the public domain. IEBC insists that, you know, they are employees or, you know, employees of organizations they've contracted. One of them insists that he doesn't work for that company. So you see, all those controversies, if you look at them against the backdrop of what we know about Smartmatic, raises so many issues. So we know Smartmatic and what they did in the Venezuelan election. We know Smartmatic and what they did in the Philippines election that brought Rodrigo Duterte to power. So they're shrouded in a lot of, you know, mischief as far as the election is concerned. And that is what gives this a context that deserves a lot of investigations. And I think IEBC is better placed to, you know, avoid this part in the media with DCI.
All right.
Because it's not the function of IEBC to investigate, it is the function of DCI. And I think DCI is doing this because this is a national security issue and it is at the behest of Kenyans. So it is the facts that we get from the DCI that would help us understand what kind of mischief, if there was any mischief or lack thereof. If there is no mischief, we're also happy to do that.
All right.
But I think the critical question here is when we have a coalition that is talking about when you get to power, we will strengthen institutions, attack the same institutions that they claim they will strengthen, it raises a lot of questions. No one said that we know, you know, the kind of mischief these guys, you know, are involved in. We don't even know which political formation they're affiliated to. What we are doing is we are looking at this as a national issue. And when you come out and make noise and start attacking people, then it basically points us more, you know, to your intentions on all this.
All right, husband. Let me get Dennis's reaction to this whole situation right now. Certainly, you can call it anxiety-inducing situation, and with the lack of, you know, trust within IEBC at this point, I don't think the situation makes it any better, Dennis.
Thank you very much. I think the majority of Kenyans have a lot of trust in IEBC. The majority of Kenyans in this country are aware of sort of the intricacies and the innuendos that the criminal justice system or the security justice system or the security, you know, operators have been playing into. And one of the things that we have to be judicious about is interrogate the facts. And the long letter that DCI wrote, the allegations and the spurious aspersions that they cast on, you know, the internationals who came in or the nationals who came in, have been disqualified. You know, one of the things is that we see a letter that was sent to office in charge of the visa section for Rodriguez Garcia, clearly indicating that he's a contractor for IEBC and he has been invited into the country. First of all, there's a proper immigration process in this country. There is nobody who is going to give you a visa if you don't have an official invite, if you are a business traveler. You understand? Number two, no one, you won't even get into any plane or get any immigration clearance if you don't have a valid passport. And this year I've said that this gentleman had expired passports. They are unaware of what they came to do in the country. The visa application process is documented and indicative of the business they came to do in the country, and that business is listed as IEBC. That letter was issued by, you know, an organization or a company that is a contractor of the IEBC, and this gentleman then works as a contractor.
Under the headed by the same man who was named in that letter by DCI, that is Mr. Abdullahi, I believe.
Yes,
Is
so
the same person?
they indicate the fact that these gentlemen are coming to do the works of IBC. And IBC then put weight on that aspect. So many of these things, and I posit to you that this is a script that has played out in this country for the last over 20 years. And this then, I can tell you for sure, that the country is being prepared for two things. The first thing that the country is being prepared for is the fact that Raila Odinga will not accept the results that are going to be there.
You cannot preempt such a situation.
I'm not preempting,
Dennis.
I'm telling you. The number two that's going to happen is that they are preparing us for a post-election presidential elections litigation. That's the second thing. The third thing that I suspect that is going to happen is that a nature of organized crime, you know, and you know, this post-election violence thereabout. This cycle has been there, and that's the reason why I'm saying, as a security expert, we have seen this. The first thing that happens is, number one, you have polls that show that one candidate is leading and another candidate is trailing. So what happens is that you set expectations that are almost impossible to tell people that, you know, this candidate doesn't have numbers and this one has numbers.
Look.
So this script, we know it, and unfortunately, what we're asking our security operators to do is not to play to this script. IEBC, in its independence, does not allow this kind of manipulation from the security forces.
Okay, Dennis.
And unfortunately, there's clear evidence to show that the gentlemen were here for the right reasons. Our immigration operators were informed. They were cleared.
But
they were given a
There's
visa.
still questions. Look, we're still on the newspaper. We'll certainly be delving much deeper right after the newspaper on this particular issue.
So we know the script.
And I'll give you, Hesbon, a chance to also respond to Dennis in a short while. Philip, a very quick reaction on the situation as we move on to other stories on the dailies.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the chief propagandist now in Kenya is the DCI. In fact, all the social media that you're seeing here is just related to DCI. So I think they are keeping us busy as we head to the...
This is newspaper, not social media.
As we head to the elections. So what the DCI is doing is actually a waste of Kenyan time. They should be investigating serious crime in Kenya. Like now, the raid on Ruto's office. I don't think this is an office that Ruto left many years ago. So, and you know the servers are not here. The server is the polling station. I think Kenyans should know that there are no servers in offices.
Okay.
People should look for votes even as we head towards the election.
All right, very quickly, Hesbon, as we move on.
Yeah, I think Dennis has raised very fundamental issues. Yeah. If you look at the DCI report, and by the way, you know, as a country, we should not be very quick to believe reports unless, you know, those reports are fair and they are put side by side other issues. You know, if for instance, the DCI is talking about fake, you know, expired passports, the next question, and I think we depend on the media to do this, would be, how can someone get into a country with a fake passport? What are these processes, you know? Right. So there's a lot to dig deep, you know, just to understand issues so that we don't just believe in what the DCI is doing, especially with the allegations that you hear that, you know, he's partisan, he's wasting taxpayers' resources. So you see, if these things are put in black and white and there's clarity on, this is the report that the DCI has given, this is what the investigative enterprises of the media has established, then we'll be in a position to make very concrete decisions. But I think it's also dangerous to you know, to label and profile the DCI as politically partisan. It's unfortunate to have that kind of thing.
And indeed, it is suddenly quite a grey area. We need, and you don't know who's fooling who. Well, just moving on ahead from that to another story here, and still within the Daily Nation. You have the former Prime Minister who is also vying for this election under the Azimio One Kenya coalition. Take Ruto's money, but vote for me, Raila says. And Karua urges Mount Kenya residents to overwhelmingly vote for Mr. Odinga. The Azimio team, and of course headed by Raila Odinga, is asking Kenyans to elect him Addressing the residents in Tharaka Nithi County on Sunday, he held a public rally after attending a church service that was in Marimani. And of course, Odinga was also crisscrossed Embu, Laikipia, Nyandarua, promising to initiate more development projects in the 5.1 million voter-rich Mount Kenya region if he wins. Dennis, I know you don't believe that Raila Odinga's forays within the Mount Kenya region. You've spoken about this quite a lot. That doesn't make any difference in his campaign. But look, he's getting quite a reaction from the residents there.
I think it's important to say the truth, especially to an area that I come from. I would, honestly, if I was, an advisor to Raila Odinga, I'd tell him to stop focusing in Mount Kenya.
Why?
Because it's futile. It's a futile exercise. You understand? Mount Kenya, for the longest, is ring-fenced for William Ruto. And, part of the reason also emanate from the way that Mount Kenya has been treated within the 5 years that we have seen the handshake alliance thereabout. And of course, the rejection of Raila Odinga was so loud that the president himself could not articulate anything about Azimio in Mount Kenya. So they figured out, let us bring somebody who perhaps may dilute that ring fencing. So they brought in Mother Karua. But I'm on record saying I think the concept of Mother Karua is not the fact that she's able to mobilize anything useful in Mount Kenya, perhaps within other quarters nationally, but thereabout. So I would say that, expecting any numbers for Raila Odinga in Mount Kenya is not a very useful political strategy, perhaps in other regions, but thereabout. But I know that for sure, that 98% of Mount Kenya region as a whole will be able to vote for William Ruto. And why I say that is that within that movement, I want you to at least show me the number of governors that would move around with Raila Odinga, the number of MPs that will move around with Raila Odinga. Suddenly, we have seen that at least 90% of elected leaders who are in office today, governors, MPs and MCAs, are on the side of Kenya Kwanza, including astute, generals like, Speaker of the National Assembly. So I think there's a decision. I wouldn't expect His Excellency William Ruto to spend too much time in Luo Nyanza, especially because there are key decisions that, it's already decided. And I think for Mount Kenya, the fact is that we have taken up William Ruto as one of us. We have serious interest. He has had the most visits there from the time that His Excellency, the President, was campaigning with him. And there's a promise that we made. And His Excellency, the President, committed himself to his 10 years and to William Ruto's 10 years. And as Mount Kenya, we do not want to be seen as people who are hypocrites, as people who are vindictive. We respect the fact that we have a very strong promise towards William Ruto, and we will be seen to keep that promise 10 by 10 for sure.
All right, Dennis. We'll come back to Hezbon in a moment to respond to that. But Philip, some would say that the Kenya Kwanza team is overconfident.
I think when you talk about taking Ruto's money, the person who has money is Raila Odinga because he's being supported by the government. Uhuru Kenyatta is the chairman of Azimio. And so when you see such a headline, take Ruto's money, it is shocking because from where I sit, I don't think Ruto has any money. So this is just a waste of time. In fact, what you're seeing in Central is just games and buying time for the election. The election was over in Central, in Mount Kenya. So it's good for Raila to try his luck. He can get one or two. I also advise Ruto. He can go to Siaya once for a rally and Bondo because not everyone there may be supporting Raila Odinga. So I think it's good to just try your luck. But according to me, the election was over in Mount Kenya.
Okay, and I know Hezbon is certainly itching to respond to some of those issues, but there's a bit of a just sound hitch. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and continue with the press review in just a short moment. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mrs. Jessie Bosire.
I'm sorry, no more weddings for today. You can book for another day.
Please, can you just let us in, even just for 2 minutes? I've waited for so long to marry this man. And waiting one more day is just too unbearable.
CASNEB will launch its 6th Corporate Strategic Plan 2022 to 2027 and celebrate its 53rd anniversary at CASNEB Towers 2 Multipurpose Hall, Upper Hill, Nairobi on Monday, 25th July 2022 from 7 a.m. The event will air live on NTV. The chief guest will be Dr. Julius Muya, PhD, CBS, Principal Secretary, the National Treasury. During the launch, 3 initiatives which are key to the implementation of the plan will also be launched. CASNEB, be empowered.
At each stage of your business cycle, there are different opportunities and challenges. Has your business evolved and made strides to adapt and be the best in your field? Enter the 2022 Top 100 Mid-Sized Companies Survey and showcase how you have driven success at every stage of your business. Submit your entry at www.eastafricatop100.com. Survey closes on 9th September 2022. Top 100 SMEs. Be seated among the great.
If you don't come home with me right now, then I am going to file a case against you for abandonment.
Mrs. Marissa, the garage just called to tell you that your car is already fixed and you can go and pick it up today.
And how could you think of just leaving after the bomb you dropped on me? You are not leaving until this has been cleared up.
Mom!
Well, if I sleep over at your house during the weekend, what do you think of that?
It had to be you.
CASNEB will launch its 6th Corporate Strategic Plan 2022 to 2027 and celebrate its 53rd anniversary at CASNEB Towers 2 Multipurpose Hall, Upper Hill, Nairobi on Monday, 25th July 2022 from 7 a.m. The event will air live on NTV. The chief guest will be Dr. Julius Muya, PhD, CBS, Principal Secretary, the National Treasury. During the launch, 3 initiatives which are key to the implementation of the plan will also be launched. CASNEB, be empowered.
Life is for the living. Make sure you live it well. Life is for the living and making sure that those who we love will be well taken care of.
All right, thanks for staying with us. You are watching AM Live, and let's just finish off. Esban, I know you wanted just to respond to this particular issue. Just respond on that, then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think my response is ideally based on what they've said and what Raila said. Raila has votes all over this country, and I think he's the only politician, whose brand political image is known all over this country. It's the reason why in the last 3 successive, elections, the big wigs in the Mount Kenya region came out, clearly to demonize Raila, and it's the same people who come out and say that this time around we are urging our people to vote for Raila Odinga because in the past he's been our main competitor, and now that we don't have a presidential candidate, this is our man. So you see, you cannot wish that away. That in itself, is a deconstruction of a narrative that was forced in the first place by the people who propagated that narrative. And then number 2, political parties don't just wake up and decide we are going to Migori. They don't just wake up and decide we are going to Mount Kenya region. They're driven by data. So they're involved in a lot of opinion polls. They get to understand the sentiments of people on the ground. And therefore, even Raila's journey to the Mount Kenya region is informed by data. And the opinion polls are also indicative of the fact that he's gained a lot of ground.
Okay.
You know, there are serious politicians who are talking about 50-50. Dennis also raised an issue of, you know, politicians are not walking around in the Mount Kenya region with Raila. It's the same thing across the board. I mean, unless you're in the presidential political campaign, you're also struggling for your parliamentary seat, your senatorial seat. We don't see people who are contesting run around with the deputy president. Neither do we see them run around with Raila Odinga. But this is the thing. Do we see heavyweights in the Mount Kenya region stick with Raila? Lee Kinyanjui, Governor Lee Kinyanjui from Meru, Francis Kimemia, Nderitu Muridhi from Laikipia. We have Nyoro from, Kiambu. They've stuck with Raila. We have Peter Ken, who at one point was a heartbeat away from the presidency, albeit on social media. He's stuck with Raila Odinga, and these are folks from Mount Kenya region, and they're not just ordinary people, they're people who wield clout. The fact that they're going down there with Raila Odinga is a big plus. But finally, I've said this and I'll keep saying that Raila doesn't need to be introduced to any electorate in this country. He only needs to pass his message. In the last 3 elections, I don't think Raila has had access to the Mount Kenya region. This election, he has, unlimited access.
All right. Yes.
Just a rejoinder. I think one of the things that we see with Azimio within Mount Kenya is that the dominant party in Mount Kenya was Jubilee. But then we see a mass exit out of Jubilee into UDA. So Jubilee in itself will not be able to prop Azimio. So what did Azimio do? Azimio contracted the services of NAC Kenya. And NAC Kenya in itself has never had any significant representation in Mount Kenya whatsoever. And so you're looking at a movement sort of, or a coalition that is quoted to be national, but with no majority or any significant representation, even from a party perspective. But when you look at UDA, UDA was born in Mount Kenya. In fact, the credo of the birth of UDA was in Mount Kenya. The wins in Kiambaa and in Juja and many other areas really showed that the credo where UDA was born was in this place. And Mount Kenya's presidential candidate is William Ruto, backed by Rigathi Gachagua and backed by the entire hustlers. And also one of the things that will be critical to note is that Mount Kenya, when you look at the politics and the intra-democracy of Mount Kenya, you'll be able to see that even in the absence of Uhuru Kenyatta, there are, strong men who would represent that area nationally. In the absence of Raila Odinga, who from Nyanza would be able to succeed him nationally? There's nobody. And that's how you tend to see the democratic nature of a leader, technically. Nyanza in itself will have to struggle for a very long time until it can raise the kind of continuity that is needed nationally, and there sits its danger. When you look at Rift Valley in itself, you have astute men who will be able to succeed William Ruto at the end of the day from the national foray. So the truth is, we look at the concept of intra-democracy and see how independent is this area democratically. And therefore, and look at most presidential runs in 2013, in 2017, and in 2018. You definitely had multiple presidential contenders from Mount Kenya. So you're looking at an area that is extremely democratized, that has decided that UDA is our vehicle of choice, and therefore 98%. That's for sure. We will come here and discuss that. 98% for sure. 98% for sure will definitely vote for UDA.
And that will come out on the 10th of August. Hopefully, we'll be able to see. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. Just moving on a little bit ahead is Raila on debate. I cannot share the podium with the Deputy President William Ruto. And of course, Deputy President William Ruto yesterday confirmed that he will attend. That's tomorrow's presidential debate, will be happening in Nairobi. And speaking just hours after his main opponent, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Raila Odinga, with whom he was set to debate in the second tier, pulled out. And of course, there's been a bit of exchange. Odinga said he will not be attending the presidential debate slated for Tuesday. Instead, attend a town hall meeting at Jericho Social Hall in Nairobi East Lands. And there are a number of issues here on why he says that he will not be able to attend that particular debate, saying that there will be, sort of advancing a so-called propagation of lies when we will be there. Philip, I mean, we thought Raila Odinga will be attending the debate, but this has come quite a bit of a sort of shocking.
I think the rules of debate are clear, and the debate will go on, and the Deputy President has confirmed that he's attending, and I think that's what Raila Odinga feared. Raila Odinga is losing this election because if you see the way he has prepared his supporters psychologically, I think he's telling them that I don't have the finishing strength to cross the rubric. So I think one thing that is coming out clearly that Raila has no agenda. Because if you have an agenda to go and speak during the debate, I think you are going to say that I'm going to attend.
But it is still within his own right to say that I don't want to attend.
He is right not to attend because he does not have any agenda even for the day. And I think what we are seeing right now is Raila Odinga preparing to run. In fact, he may run away from the main election, not only the debate. Because if you see the way he has started talking of servers, I don't know, he wants a manual register.
But these are legitimate concerns that
he has started bringing roadblocks. And
a main political player is raising, right?
You know, Raila Odinga has been known to do the opposite. When swearing in is going on at Uhuru Park, he is swearing himself at, when swearing in is going on at Kasarani, he is swearing himself at Uhuru Park. When the debate is going on in Catholic University, he has a debate also is it Kamukunji or where?
No, he said he will be attending a social hall gathering, of course.
The whole country will be glued on TV on Tuesday, tomorrow.
Don't you believe that perhaps his supporters will also be viewing what is happening on the other end?
Aspirants, starting with Wajakoya and Moure at 5, and then in the evening William Ruto will appear. And but I think also maybe Espon will tell us, it could be psychological. Maybe Raila is preparing Mwakenya somewhere so that he will surprise us like Sakaja. You remember Sakaja? They had said he's not turning up, but he appeared at the last minute. So maybe they also have some tactics.
Well, Wajakoya says he's also boycotted the debate, but of course the debate will continue. Hasbon, with Raila Odinga saying he's going to skip this particular event, any impact on that, on anything?
Yeah, you know, a presidential debate is very critical for a democracy and most importantly for the candidates. For the simple reason that it gives the candidate that opportunity to be on the same platform and to, you know, have their ideas contend. So much so that if you have robust ideas, you have no reason to fear a presidential debate, because then your ideas would come out, you know, better than the ideas of your competitors in the eyes of the audience. And you see, here we are talking about 34 million Kenyans plus. You know, Martha and Rigathi, you know, the Media Council of Kenya talks about 34 million Kenyans who are glued, or, you know, on different gadgets following the debate. So I think to a large extent, a presidential debate is very, very critical, especially for the candidates. But that does not mean that, you know, it's the only avenue to win the masses, because the platform it gives you is for your ideas and the ideas of your rivals to contend. It's not really a question of you reaching the masses with your messages, because you can essentially reach the masses with your messages via other platforms. I would really, you know, want to know the germane issues that informed some of these decisions to withdraw. But on paper, if you look at what happened in the Sakaja debate, what happened in the Martha Karua and Rigathi debate, you can actually see that to a large extent, it was not a platform that you know, gave, you know, the public that opportunity to see ideas contending, especially if you look at Martha and Rigathi. On the one hand, you had Rigathi Gachagua, who was speaking to a constituency. It was akin to a public rally. He was essentially targeting the Mount Kenya region with a kind of, you know, false narrative that have been given since 2017. The narrative of this government has not delivered for you. The narrative of, President Uhuru Kenyatta has not delivered, you know, for the people of Mount Kenya. the narrative that, you know, the only person who takes care of your interest is the deputy president. You see, that is what Rigathi was consistent with. So it was not giving the two candidates a platform for the ideas to contend. One was attacking individuals.
The same platform,
the
same question.
And you see, you cannot, you cannot get into a debate and take the conversation to the trenches and start assassinating characters, start unleashing documents that are unverified, start speaking of things that people talk on social media as if they are credible. And that is where Rigathi was taking Martha Karua. And it is consistent. I think that is consistent with their narrative. And to a large extent, if you ask anyone who believes in Kenya Kwanza, Rigathi Gachagua won. Because for him, it was not about ideas. For him, it was specifically, we are talking about corruption. Yes, the first family is corrupt. We are talking about corruption. Martha has joined a corrupt team. What he did not address, because what we are looking for in a presidential debate is a question of how and why. Why are you saying you're going to fight corruption like this? How is this going to be robust? When Rigathi was asked, we saw the direction Rigathi was taking. And all he wanted was to put Martha in a position where Martha was defensive in a battlefield that Rigathi is good at and Martha has never ventured into. Okay. Number two, let me just finish. Okay, number two, if you look at the conversations that Kenya Kwanza and luminaries in Kenya Kwanza have been having in the public domain, you can easily tell. I mean, they ride on gossip, aspersions, and character assassinations. There is no one they've not disparaged. They've been disparaging President Uhuru Kenyatta. They've been disparaging Raila Odinga. Why, for instance, would we respectfully sit down and listen to Raila and Ruto debate, yet in the campaign trail, Ruto calls Raila Ule Muganga? I mean, for heaven's sake, there is freedom.
But husband, this is a national platform.
I know.
With a set
but
rule.
They've demonstrated they don't respect Kenyans. They don't respect national platforms. Okay. They have no reason to talk about issues. They want to talk about individuals. But let me just finish. You know, there's a narrative that they have in the public domain that if they bring to a national debate, will essentially debase that national debate. If you talk about corruption, integrity, the reason why they don't want that in the national debate is very simple. Because they've been riding on falsehood. They've been riding on narratives that cannot hold water. You know, they've made promises in the past that no one knows whether they will fulfill, given even 20 years from now. So this is a team that wants this national debate, wants airtime with millions of Kenyans to propagate a consistent narrative that has nothing to do with this country, but has a lot more to do with individuals.
All right. Let's have Dennis on, you know, what's your view on this whole situation?
I'm just listening to my brother here, and I'm wondering, as a media practitioner, I think you owe, you know, just professionally to be a bit kind to the media. And for the longest, I think within this campaign, the darling of the media certainly is Raila Odinga. In fact, I think there has to be a script called The Making of Raila Odinga, technically. And having invested so much in a candidate, and then that candidate disparages your forum, and I think it's essentially heartbreaking. So, you know, to the Fourth Estate, receive my apologies on behalf of these guys. I think it's very disheartening. And to the rest of the Kenyans,
that's
no, I mean, to the rest of the Kenyans, one of the things, I believe in the debate so strongly that I believe that it has become part of the democratization of this country.
Let me give you an instance. If perhaps in the past debate, the Nairobi gubernatorial debate, if Sakaja failed to show up in the debate, would it have been his right or would it have been unfair?
I have disagreed on the non-participation of any politician for any debates whatsoever. And I hold that, you know, I hold that position very strongly, that all politicians must participate in all debates whatsoever. And when I was in 2017, I was vying for the senatorship in this Nairobi, and we shared a platform in Sakaja. And I articulated my issues, he articulated his issues. So I don't agree with any politician who feels entitled, as though this is a private position they are running for, and that they don't owe the public any explanation whatsoever. The debate process is a process in democracy. and the presidential debates have become a critical juncture on the democratization of this country. And therefore, even based on many articles, including Article 1 of the Constitution, the people must hear from you. The people must make informed decision. Remember, democracy is not what is done in secret, but an informed decision. And therefore, when a politician feels entitled that they are not going to show up for the debate, and they make the debate about personal vindictive measures. And that's the reason why Kenya Kwanza is talking about depoliticization, of depersonalization of politics. You understand? Since when did the presidential debate become about William Ruto? It's madness of the highest order. Since when did the presidential debate become about Raila Odinga? These debates are about critical national issues. The deputy president debate was not about Mother Karua. For heaven's sake, Rigathi Gachagua did not go there because of Mother Karua. Whether Mother Karua was there or not, Rigathi would have gone to represent the hustlers in this nation. There are critical issues in this nation that must be spoken to. And every politician must be held to account by the people of this nation. So when a politician doesn't feel entitled that Kenyans cannot ask me questions, I cannot talk to Kenyans because of whatever it is that there is, that in itself has been the eternal hatred that the dynastic hegemony have always held towards the poor. Thereabout.
All right.
And that needs to be stopped. Allow me a bit of time, because you have given this gentleman a bit of time. Now, this is the truth. The truth is this, number one. In the debate 2013, the one who was held to account was Raila Odinga, because of the peace process that had emanated from 2007. And Raila Odinga was accused by Senior Counsel Paul Moite and Mother Karua for using the peace process to his advantage, and for putting Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto on a place where they'll be eliminated politically to his expediency. And he explained himself, and Mother Karua said, Raila Odinga committed himself to the local tribunal and to drive parliament towards accepting local tribunals, but Raila Odinga never showed up in parliament and drummed anyone. That was the 2013 debate. The 2013 put in question strongly who was against the local tribunal and who was for the ICC. It told us how they drove the peace process to their own expediency. 2017, Uhuru Kenyatta refused to show up for his own reasons at the end of the day. The debate sits as an integral platform to be able to hold into account leaders who are seeking national office on critical national matters.
You were part of Jubilee then, when the president
So I was not part of Jubilee, I was in Agano. Yeah, I have never been a member of Jubilee, personally. You understand, at the end of the day. And if you want, I have never voted for Raila Odinga. It's on record in public today. You understand? The truth of the fact is that, by the way, we need to have policy that enforces debates of this nature. And why am I saying that? For this particular debate, not only, so then Raila is breaking the law. If there's law, then he's breaking the law. He needs to be held to account by the DCI that is playing drama over. Not only is Raila Odinga fearful or practicing cowardice, he's also refusing to be held to account. And because they know that this debate is also about the accountability on state capture, Uhuru Kenyatta does not want Raila Odinga to come
Dennis.
and to be held to account on the issues that Azimio has driven the country to dogs in the last 5 years. So what we're asking Raila Odinga, look, William Ruto has taken the stones away from you. The T-beams and Tialalas, the Snoganeering, the BBI, the whatever. He has given you a paper and told you, let's discuss about the economy. It's the economy this time round.
Okay, Dennis.
Raila Odinga now
has come all to a place
where he's hiding, but as Kenyans, we just want to talk. And we are telling Raila Odinga, stop hiding behind various veils. Come out and talk. Kenyans want to hear from you. They want to hold you to account.
I think both presidential candidates had given some conditions. And I think William Ruto talked of we allocate more time for issues. And I'd like to really applaud the media, because they're really maturing. And my friend here, Espon, would agree with me that by 2027, I think even the questions will have really improved, and I think there should also be a forum. I suggest to the media so that they get questions from lecturers like us.
Absolutely.
And we can shape the discourse.
I think there was an opportunity to have everyone send in questions right before the debate.
Instead of taking a lot of time, like 1 hour, discussing how much money do you have in your account, I don't know, you have grabbed which chamber and so forth. In that last debate for the deputy presidential candidates, even water was not mentioned. Yeah, even jobs were not mentioned. In fact, they got the last 15 minutes, and I think that was unfortunate. So I think we should really, when William Ruto comes on Tuesday, and I know Raila may surprise, they should be given more time to discuss issues. They should be asked about integrity, they should be asked on corruption and all these other matters, because that is what Kenyans expect if you want to be the president of this country. So I think Raila Odinga, you saw in the social media the letter from Makau Mutua. I don't know whether it's true or not. I think Raila wanted a chair. He may not stand for a very long time.
I'm yet to establish that. I have not seen that.
And I think if the panelists can give Raila a chair, there's no problem.
Well,
because he may not stand for a very long time.
I can't verify that, but well, Hesbon, I don't know if you have anything to add on this, but I think we'll just because we're already within the next hour of conversation.
But I do.
But look, the Ruto campaign has demanded certain things, more time to be allocated on issues of governance, integrity, the micro small enterprise and manufacturing, issues of agriculture, healthcare, foreign policy, and digital economy. Of course, this is part of its manifesto. But also, on the other hand, at the core of the Azimio campaign, they've also asked the debate to focus on issues of corruption, integrity, ethics, and governance. And I think on both ends, these are quite important issues that both leaders should be put to account to.
I totally agree with you that the issues that they've advanced.
Is it a matter of balancing the time?
Actually, it's a matter of balancing the time, that's one. And then number two, it's a matter of to what extent are we adulterating the public, sphere. You know, my two colleagues are very big on talking about the media. Let me just say authoritatively that the media in Kenya is one of the best in Africa. We lead in almost everything. Very agile, dynamic, the most developed. And I think to a large extent, our quality is beyond the quality. Our quality of journalism is beyond many African countries. But most importantly, I think is not even those issues. The most important thing for me in this debate is what we've seen Dennis say here. The digression to non-issues is the problem here. The fact that we've seen, from Kenya Kwanza, that they're not very keen on trudging on that national platform on issues that are of national interest. They are very quick to slide to the trenches, take people to the mud where they are good at fighting. In this country, we enjoy freedom of expression. Anyone can express themselves. And we've seen this in the political front. What we've not seen is accountability and responsibility. And this has been taken to the national space, and it is needless to expect, 50 million Kenyans who will be watching the presidential debate to listen to people make statements that they are not accountable.
Okay.
To listen to people disparage other individuals who will not be in that debate. I think that's the real fear, that what are we going to get on this? We are going to get campaign from Kenya Kwanza, and we are not going to get an opportunity to listen to issues. Chebunet here is complaining about issues. Ask Chebunet if he watched the vice presidential debate. There were issues to be discussed. But the person who was running away from issues to personal, assassination of individuals, character assassination of individuals, was Rigathi Gachagua. And that is what they celebrate. Follow their campaign trail. It's the same thing they do. Listen to Dennis here. It's the same thing Dennis does. He keeps bashing Raila. If Raila was here, Raila would be forced to respond to Dennis and not on national issues, because a lot of the time I'm forced to respond to Dennis and not articulate my issues. Why? Because that is why they drag people. They drag people to the trenches, to the mud, where they can fight better.
Okay. Can we just move on just a little bit?
I mean, Sarah can respond.
Dennis,
On the 25th minute of the deputy presidential debate, Rigathi Gachagua asked that we conform to issues. So it's on record that he had come there to discuss issues.
But after that, he unleashed a document that was not verified. So was that document part of the issue?
No, the record is a National Gazette. In fact, the media house that James Smart comes from published that report. It's an official report, so it has nothing to do with smudging everyone. Unfortunately, Azimio don't want to be put on the spot. They posit themselves as these gods who are not liable to being questioned or anything of the sort. They godify themselves to such great whatevers that Raila is not questionable to anybody whatsoever. Baba akisema, amesema at the end of the day. But we are telling that them Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta are Kenyans of normal stature, like all of us. They are employees of the people, and they can be questioned whatsoever. Kenya Kwanza is the only political formation that brought into play the economy. We have now brought into play the question of corruption at the end of the day in terms of state capture. What we don't want them to do, let them not disparage journalism to this country as gossip clubs. What they are saying that journalists have no capacity to discuss critical national issues. Yet, they have been using the fourth estate to articulate their issues as well.
Not journalists.
What we want to do, let them not disparage the presidential debate, because the professionalism therein is something that we respect. And we have already said we want to discuss, including many other things, our manifesto, integrity, and integrity, of course, is corruption at the end of the day, and we want to stick to the issues. On the other hand, if you looked at the letter from Makau Mutua, you'd wonder whether this is from a class 2 student. You understand? Very unpresidential at the end of the day, with a lot of, lacking a lot of respect and decorum. And essentially, we ask ourselves, how on earth were such people hired? You know, and they came into the national foray. Okay, when you look at their campaigns, their campaign from minute number 1 to hour number 7 is all about William Ruto this, William Ruto that, Tibim and Tialala. They have no agenda. Raila Odinga has no agenda whatsoever, and that's part of the reason why he's scared of coming to the presidential debate.
You can't accuse a man who's not here to defend himself. That's on Professor Makau
no.
defense. But anyway,
you know, you say that.
That is what I'm saying.
The thing is this we're talking about. This is not a corporate organization. You're talking about a man who is running a presidential campaign. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a Kenyan. Within the law, I can question anyone who is in the political foray. It's not an accusation. Questioning, how is accountability accusing?
Just 10 seconds. So, Zainab, you see, the issue I have is very simple. Professor Makau Mutua is not here. Mentioning him is not a problem, but you can't mention Professor Makau Mutua and question his credentials. You call him a class 2 dropout. I mean, how does that make sense?
Okay. Can we just move on, please? I think it's only fair we look at what's on the Standard as we just move on. So on the front page of the Standard, Ruto tells off Uhuru Kinoti of a probe on Venezuelans. We'll, like I said, we'll get into that in just a moment. On the third page of the Standard, snake venom touted as best bet for painkillers. Beauty products. Well, this is certainly giving credence to a certain manifesto in the country. And on the fourth page of the Standard, 2 election officials linked to Venezuelans at the center of the DCI investigation. Deputy President William Ruto criticizes Kinoti probe on those foreigners. And still on the Standard at the very center, it's the 6th and the 7th page, Raila to skip presidential debate set for tomorrow. Just speaking about that. Gilu's endorsement of Musila angers leaders, and Wajakoya to boycott debate if wish not met. And on the 7th page, blow to IEBC budget as 2.6 billion spent on legal fees. Well, the electoral agency has spent about 2.6 billion in legal fees in the past 4 years. That's according to an audit which shows out of 19 billion pending bills request, 1.4 billion is for legal fees. And finally, of course, on an analysis part of it, party manifestos debates our only route to ending ethnic politics. And also on the Star, I will not be getting inside the Star, but just on the front page of the Star, Ruto office raided as DP state tussle over rigging claims. The investigators cut away 2 computers as Kinoti puts Chebukati on the spot. Also, IEBC tech firm riddled with controversies. That is Smartmatic International. It's the company contracted to supply the voter identification system for the next month's polls, which is no stranger to controversy. We'll get deeper on the same as well. And lastly, on the Business Daily, CMA blocks Unilever shares deal in tea farm. Regulator blocks transfer of Limuru tea stake to US firm. Tycoon Joe Wanjoy is sued to stop the share sale. And private varsities raise fees for state-sponsored students. A very important story there on higher learning and matters of education. Of course, private universities have started increasing tuition fees for government-sponsored students that they host, setting up for a clash with the Ministry of Education. And much more in the Business Daily, the Star, the Standard, and of course the Daily Nation for us this morning. But I'd like us to now just go back to analyze a little bit deeper this particular issue that has dominated most of our newspaper headlines today. And of course, Ruto telling off Uhuru Kinoti of a probe on Venezuelans. That's on the Standard. So what do we know? So police at this point have confiscated some servers from transnational building suspected to be involved in potential election fraud. A security officer apparently attached to the deputy president's office was intercepted during the process, although the details remain quite scanty on the investigation at this point. And also that came after some foreign nationals, 3 Venezuelans, were arrested in the past week with IBC stickers, which is, by the way, a very crucial component of the election technology set to be deployed in the next 2 weeks. DCI says they are not employees of Smartmatic, and this material apparently was found inside the personal luggage of one of these individuals. Philip, I'll start with you. You spoke a little bit about this, but looking at the situation we're in, it's an extremely critical time that there must be trust within IBC and the company that, you know, it has given that award, got that contract to provide the technology. But then you have these questions of, dubious dealings happening right around the corner, 2 weeks to an election. Kenyans are concerned.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we want IEBC to be serious also in terms of if any visitor, if any engineer is coming. I think they need to report to the police and the airport that we have these visitors who are coming. We have talked of the luggage and whatever is in their bags. I think even when Kenya Power is visiting your house, sign up. They come with their tools. So I think that one I have no problem with that. They will have to carry their laptops. They will have to carry their passwords and whatever we are seeing there. In any serious country, sign up. If the police and the DCI have accessed the passwords that are related to an election, that election can even be stopped. It is actually very serious, because if you check what these guys are interested, they are interested in tampering with the electronic voting that will be there in the next election. So if you check this kind of attitude and this kind of schemes that they want to stop these guys, if you check even in the headline, they are talking about Venezuelans. They are not even saying these are IEBC visitors. I think this is unfortunate. Why are they interested in the country more than the expertise and the technology that they are bringing and how they have been contracted? There is a reason why they are saying Venezuelans, because they want us to forget that IEBC is preparing for an election. And I would like to tell Kenyans who are listening to me this morning that the election will go on. I know right now, even where I come from, I know people are panicking. You have heard of the powerful statements that even ministers in this government have been talking of, that we are working with Raila Odinga. That's CS Musheru, and he's in charge of ICT. He was saying that I am working very hard with Raila Odinga to ensure that he succeeds in the next election. This is a minister in charge of ICT.
talking about that. Now, this kind of assistance that we are seeing that Raila Odinga was waiting for from the deep state has vanished. In fact, Zainab, all the assistance that Raila was to receive, Raila has discovered and Azimio that the only thing that will win this election is the vote. And that's why all this help, we are being treated with drama.
What does the issue of 3 people arrested with critical electoral material have to do with any political player in this country?
Kenyans have to be wary of these rumors. And I said at the beginning of this of this debate, and I said, the person who is really giving us a lot of rumors and gossip is the DCI. He should investigate privately and come and announce when he has succeeded. But you can see he has not succeeded in many cases. Which case has this DCI succeeded in arresting people? So I think he should not treat us with this drama. Let us tell Kenyans to be prepared for 9th.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, DCI does not reach Kenyans. Whatever DCI does, if it is of public interest, will be covered by the media. That's the business of the media. So you can't blame the DCI for being involved in something that is of public interest. And in this case, it even goes beyond public interest to a national interest. We are in a country where election determines so many things. And we cannot afford a situation where our elections are compromised. And I think we are in a very volatile economic situation that we are not even ready for another campaign period if this election is vacated by a court of law. So it is in our own interest to know what is going on, you know. And we cannot cast aspersions on very sensitive issues, like what is happening right now, and start bringing in names here, deep state and all that. But I know that is consistent with the Kenya Kwanza narrative. They'll always want to throw all this manner of things, deep state, support, you know. If Raila was fighting for the space that we have today, Raila was not fighting it so that he rigs any election and benefits from that. And I can confidently say that the Raila that Kenyans know is the Raila that believes that the power to govern must be a function of the vote of every individual Kenyan. So let me come back to this. Now, the reason why this is a very serious issue is very simple. That if these guys were genuine IEBC employees, IEBC abdicated its duty. If they were coming for IEBC business, they are offering support, they are subcontractors of Smartmatic, like they claim in this story by the Standard, then it would have been the business of IEBC to go to the airport and receive these people. It would have been the business of IEBC to let Kenyans know that these stickers, the electoral materials, are coming in tranches. It would have been the business of IEBC to let us know that these are the specific dates. The people who ought to have been there to receive them were IEBC officials, not security officials. Because when there is suspicion of anything that is a threat to national security, security will come in, and IEBC was not there. The contradictions that we are having, you know, someone is contracted, the person who is said to be contracted is also denying the fact that they are contracted, raises a lot of questions.
Okay.
Come back to the issue of Venezuela. It is very clear that we are dealing with a company that was contracted by IEBC on the basis of very shoddy due diligence. And there is nothing we can do about that. Smartmatic is already on board. But we have to be vigilant. What loopholes are there to be sealed? Because we know what the same company did in Venezuelan elections. We know what they did in the Philippines elections. And we know the mischief that they did here in Uganda. And it is their CEO who has come out to accept responsibility. That in an election, they interfered with the voter turnout to the tune of 1 million voters. It is not mere coincidence that there is an election where they had an issue with 1 million voters, and Kenyans here, political players, have talked about 1 million voters being shafted around. It is not a mere coincidence, and therefore it's not a function of any political formation to tell us who should do what. This is a function of national security.
Okay,
but lastly, let me just say that it is wrong for politicians to come out and take position on something that we have state agencies that are dealing with. All of us want IEBC to do a good job. No one would want to attack IEBC because no one would want an election that is shoddy.
Okay. Esbon, we have to really take a short break and then we'll come back and continue with the conversation. You can finish up on your point after that, and then we can have Dennis also respond to those issues. But I must also say that with the issues of Smartmatic, of course, we cannot here at NTV independently verify that it was involved in, electoral fraud independently. We'll be back after a short while. Remember, you can continue engaging us on our social media platforms. The hashtag to use is MLiveNTV. At NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail, will be sampling some of your views. We'll be back. Stay with us.
The Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, regulates the broadcasting industry, promoting development of local content and ensuring responsible use of broadcasting platforms for national good. The Communications Authority of Kenya, opening your world.
Unapohisi maumivu, unahitaji kitulizo kinachotegemeka. Jaribu Panadol Advance. Ikitumia teknolojia Panadol Optizorb, tembe hiyo hufyonzwa haraka na kuandaa kitulizo cha haraka dhidi ya maumivu. Jaribu Panadol Advance.
We will get money for Kenyans back.
David Mwaure Waihiga of the Agano Party.
Tuko tayari tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance.
Mko tayari kutembea na sisi?
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party. And
we have wealth in our country.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. On the battle for State House, the Presidential Debate 2022, July 26th, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. on every screen, speaker and earpiece in Kenya.
To get Sina Uhofu by Eric Smith, dial star 811 star 851 hash. Skiza, non-nation.
KASNEB will launch its 6th Corporate Strategic Plan 2022 to 2027 and celebrate its 53rd anniversary at KASNEB Towers 2 Multipurpose Hall, Upper Hill, Nairobi on Monday, 25th July 2022 from 7 a.m. The event will air live on NTV. The chief guest will be Dr. Julius Muya, PhD, CBS, Principal Secretary, the National Treasury. During the launch, 3 initiatives which are key to the implementation of the plan will also be launched. KASNEB, be empowered.
I am in the Gambia to find out what the issues are and the solutions in sight.
Smart Tech is back. This season, we feature African innovators seeking to solve climate-related challenges in Africa.
The goal was to make something that somebody can use it. Maybe there's no light in the daytime, or you can charge it. Maybe you are going to work, you charge it, and then when you come back, you use it and power light and fan throughout the night.
I was so amazed by the volume of coffee that we would sell that I saw the huge potential. I started my own business in 2011. I got into the transformation, conditioning, and the commercialization of our coffee.
Life is for the living. Make sure you live it well. Life is for the living and making sure that those who we love will be well taken care of.
All right, thanks for staying with us. You're watching MLive NTV, and we're looking into that controversy surrounding those 3 individuals who were arrested by the DCI, found in possession of sensitive election material. And of course, that has quite elicited reactions from different parts of the country and the political class as well. Hesbon, you had finished your remarks on this, so very quickly, let's get Dennis, you know, from a security perspective. You're a security expert. You have 3 nationals who apparently, according to the DCI, entered into the country. They had fake, I think, expired visas or expired passports. They've entered into the country. But interestingly enough, what the DCI says is the fact that this material was stored inside the personal luggage of one of these nationals. And this is, you know, what they're calling very critical information related to the technology to be used in the election.
I think we need to debunk the lies and set the facts straight. Number one, internationally, it's impossible to travel with an expired passport. That lie number 1 debunked. Our immigration cannot issue visas to passports that are expired. Reputable, you know, airlines cannot issue accommodation in their vessels with an expired passport. So lie number 1 debunked. Lie number 2, that the country was not aware of the arrival of this person, his designation and his role. In a letter dated 4th of July, which I'm reading here, immigration was informed that Rodriguez Garcia from Venezuela is coming.
Where did the letter originate from?
The letter originated from Seamless Limited, who are contractors of IBC. And IBC is aware of these contractors. The contract is clear and legal at the end of the day. And immigration was informed that this gentleman is arriving, according to a visa. The whole process was cleared. So that whole process is legal. Number 3, let us draw a dichotomy between arresting and detaining. They were detained. And the reason why they were detained is to cast spurious aspersions on the electoral process. Arresting, it means that there are legal grounds that have been violated and you take somebody to court. Why are those people not in court today? You know, at the end of the day. So they were detained, and who showed up? IBC showed up and said, look, you're aware as immigration that these are our people, and therefore they were released. Number 3, I don't remember, I think I'm in fact number 4. Number 4, the assertion that there is no anti-terrorism police unit at JKIA. There is an anti-terrorism police unit because, of course, as a port of entry, the airports are subject to terrorism. So there's ATPU at the end of the day.
They say there's a specific function of an office that does not exist within the ATPU office.
No. Well, there's the OCS, yes. Kenya Airports Unit. You know, the Kenya Airports Police Unit is called KAPU. And under the OCS, all other multi-agencies function. You understand? So it is okay if you say the OCS, can you deploy the ATPU? At the end of the day, they are within one command system. The police doesn't have a hybrid command system. At the end of the day, the command system is aware. So all those things that this year has said, unfortunately, legally, they conflict. Procedurally, they conflict. You understand? Then the most tragic thing is that now the media is publishing these details without any confirmation whatsoever. It's heartbreaking for me as a professional to read the allegations that are being nationalized. And I'm telling you something, Zainab, this is the same script that Raila Odinga has played for a very long time. It starts from fake polls. Then you go to Chebukati must go, Chiloba must go, casting negative aspersions against the electoral process and the electoral body. The independence of IBC states one thing, that because of the independence and because of the nature of sensitive things, you and I sit here without essentially knowing about intricacies within IBC. Why? Because of the security nature. Remember, the greatest assault on IBC has been whoever who is doing technology. You remember the Musando aspect? Whoever who's doing technology, because technology is what brings the integrity aspect within the elections. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to assault the technological fidelity of our elections so that they can disqualify it. There's a matter in court that brings in the manual register. Then the whole of these spurious allegations then can authenticate the fact that now, since electronically we are compromised, bring in.
But you know, interestingly enough,
and the physical register comes within clerk number 2, and that is what we are saying. No problem. The law brings in the aspect of a complementary system, but we know the fact that a lot of the guys from Azimio don't like the aspect of technology, and they want us to go manual.
Oh, interestingly enough,
in terms
you know,
of allow her to ask me the question, then I can answer.
Let me just respond to one thing before you ask.
Okay, let him just respond. I'll follow up with my question.
Carry on.
Yes, husband.
Yeah, you see, you know, technology in this election is just an enhancer of the manual system that our election is. The voting is manual. The presidential election is declared by statutory forms. It is not declared on a gadget. It is the transmission of those numbers that is via technology. So I can confidently say that it doesn't matter what technology does.
What?
The form that will be used is the one that will be declared at the polling station. And the law is very clear. And that form 34A, it goes to B to C. The IBC returning officer at the national level cannot declare things on the basis of what is displayed. They have to see the physical forms and do the tally. And I think that is what Kenyans don't know and Kenyans need to understand. This mirage that, oh, it is technology, we have to read things. IBC has made it clear that even the media can tally so long as they cover all the polling stations.
Okay.
And that is without technology.
It is my time. Please allow us to that. My colleague needs to affirm himself to what the law stipulates. The electronic system in our country, or rather technology, in fact, is 70% of the elections by law. The registration is technologically, you have to do it via technology by law. Verification, the first point of verification, which is identification, when you go to the polling station, by law is technological. You understand? You identify yourself, you verify yourself, number 2. Number 3, transmission of results is electronic.
But
so you're
skipping the voting.
So the thing is no, the voting is manual.
Yeah,
all of us
that's
know
what
that.
I'm saying.
However, what I'm saying,
so this is semantics.
You understand? No, it's not semantic.
It is
please protect me from the
voting is manual, the counting is manual, the declaration is manual.
What we are saying, please let us avoid the shouting. It's not a football match. This is what I'm saying, is that you cannot talk down technology, because you remember the presidential petition in 2017. The issue was technology. The issue was not about the fact that the vote was rigged. In fact, the dissenting judges said that NESA cannot demonstrate that the election was rigged, and therefore it is IBC that failed to meet the technological thresholds of the law. So you cannot water down the technological aspect. The technological aspect by law is a constitutional threshold that mitigates integrity. That said, what they are trying to do at the end of the day is disqualify that integral process in our electioneering process, so that then the manual aspect, the manual register, the manual identification, that traditionally, the reason why we went electronic is because manual was subject to tampering, and therefore they want the election to go, towards their side. In conclusion, this has been a script that Raila Odinga has prayed for a very long time. And we are being prepared, not just for a petition in terms of saying he will not concede at the end of the day, not just being prepared towards civil injuries thereabout.
You are sort of preempting, what is it?
I am preempting because I know this script as a professional. I'm telling you, please, I can take you through 20 years of the same script.
Okay.
Yeah,
look,
yes,
so let's get.
And do you remember General, where one of the people, one of the institutions that was taken to ICC was the police force. At the end of the day, why? Because it was judged that they never practiced professionalism in stopping
yes, Philip.
the civil atrocities that happened.
I think it's good to take Kenyans through the election process.
Absolutely.
Number one, this election cannot be stolen. I think it should come out very clearly. Because of the headlines that we are seeing here, Venezuelans and whatever, this is interfering with the part of the electronic voting. Number one, when you arrive at the when you arrive at the polling
we know
station,
how to vote. We voted before.
Yeah. So there are three components. We know the three components
Zainab,
of
let
the
me
election.
just take
There are four components actually.
Okay, let's just give Philip his space to talk as well.
Let's stop the heckling.
Let me take Esbon through the election process. Number one, when you arrive at the polling station,
please leave that
you are identified electronically. Identification is electronic.
Right.
Number two, you are given the ballot paper, and then
which is a manual thing.
Which is a manual.
Yeah,
so identification is electronic.
Right.
Voting is manual, and also counting is manual, and then transmission of the results is electronic. So I think this, and then after that, of course, the result. There's an image that is taken. It is sent to the national tallying center, and then after that, you can even take a photo of the result. If you are an ordinary or you are an agent, you can take the photo, and then you can even record. You can record even when the results are being announced. So whatever we are seeing, Zainab, is someone who wants to dodge that process. In fact, if you use the manual, Esbon, you know what will happen is that someone can just be using the same name to vote, using a ruler, and repeating the same name and highlighting the same person, the same voter. So I think going forward, this election, no cheating can take place because all the safeguards have been put. So anyone who wants to say that the election will be interfered with,
I think it's fair to say that with any system,
are very careful
there's always a risk, and I think Dennis can confirm, there's always a risk to any system, especially when it comes to technology.
You know, even after using the electronic identification, before you start counting, you have to ascertain that the number of those who have been identified in the KIMS kit is the same as those ones, the votes that have been voted. So you can never send the results if they don't tally. And you only send the results once. Okay. And also this KIMS kit cannot send a Form 34 of another polling center. It is configured. So I think just telling Kenyans that we turn to manual, I think this is taking us to the 21st century.
I think Kim is still in the past. I think the issue of manual is already sorted. IEBC even talked about how they are going to mitigate any fears, any fears of someone dead, someone who does not want to vote coming there, because they'll eliminate the ID card. So you can't show up and say, I'm so and so. I cannot be identified by the KIMS kit and vote using an ID whose source we don't know. But let us not digress. No one say that anyone is going to rig any election. I think we live in a country where the media is very robust. Any kind of mischief will be in the public domain. What we are saying is, if there is any fear of interference with the electoral process, there are institutions that are charged with that mandate. Whether we like them or not, those are the institutions that we've formed. No one is going to believe what Azimio says about these guys from Venezuela or wherever they come from. No one is going to believe what Kenya Kwanza says. We only depend on the DCI. It is the DCI that we have. It is the DCI that we fund to do all this. And all we can do, if there are any gray areas, like Dennis has clearly said, he's a security expert. There are certain gray areas. You cannot get into this country with a fake passport.
But Hesbon, you have an institution that has been largely condemned and scrutinized by one side of a political part, a side which talks about the DCI being agents of, what they call state or deep state. So then how do you convince this other side that whatever statements that come from this institution, which is constitutionally mandated, of course, investigate issues that arise like this, that it's a fair, you know, assessment of the real situation on the ground?
You see, given the DCI and a political formation, who would you believe more? Probably not the DCI, but certainly you can't believe a political formation. And that's why in a democracy, there are four arms. There's the judiciary, there's the legislature, there's the executive, and there's the media, the fourth estate. So the issues that are raised by Dennis, those are issues that the media can help us, you know, get ahead and understand to what extent are we having gaps in what the DCI is doing. Because it's one thing for a political formation to tell us that institutions are weaponized. But it's another thing for those institutions to be exactly weaponized because they are because of what they are saying. I mean, they could be doing that for political expediency, and we've seen this. I mean, in 2017, when cabinet secretaries were campaigning for Jubilee, the deputy president and the entire Jubilee team was very happy with it. So if it was right then, it cannot be wrong now. It can't. I mean, they started this journey of making the cabinet secretaries part of the political formations. But lastly, if there are issues, let me just come back to Dennis. If there are issues, because a number of issues are raised, you know, out of this. If someone cannot get into this country using a fake passport, you know, then it means they actually came with a genuine passport. If the passport that they gave the DCI is fake, it leads us to more questions. Then how did they get into the country?
I believe the expired passport came from them from, I think, Venezuela to Panama. And that was the question that came from the expiry of the passport. And you see, it's the reason why then we cannot believe a political formation. We cannot agree, you know, with statements that are attacking the DCI and defending the IEBC. I mean, when you are too cozy with the referee of a game and you're also a player, you want your opponent to keep quiet. You want the public to keep quiet. I mean, it doesn't add up, you know. And it's the best thing as noble citizens of this country is to allow the state institutions, where they go wrong, it is the citizenry. And we have the media, and we have a social contract with the media. The media knows that we have some trust in the media, and they can give us the right pathways to decide. All right, Dennis, but even politics aside, looking at the questions that arise from the security issue of this and the technology that is expected to be used in this election, is it fair for Kenyans to be treated to, you know, a war of words on social media between the electoral agency and, you know, a security organ?
I read the statements. I've followed the matter closely. I've spoken to colleagues at the airport. Sincerely speaking, I was shocked to see the long letter from DCI. And as I said, procedurally, even from an investigative perspective, there's something wrong with the way this matter is prosecuted, and it looks like the intent is to cast the electoral process as, you know, is essentially to remove integrity from the electoral process, by and large. You know, we look at the intent at the end of the day, because as from where we sit, what is the issue, or what is the criminal charge towards the Venezuelan? From where we sit, there's none. You understand? Otherwise, they'll be in court. They were detained, they were not arrested. What is exactly the criminal charge to the Venezuelan? From where you and I sit, there's nothing. That's the reason why I'm asking that. You understand? So, at the end of the day, we know that the elections are run by IEBC, not by DCI. And sincerely, we must rescue DCI and speak into ethics and just bring ethics back into the criminal justice system, sincerely. You cannot be at war with ODPP, at war with Chebukati, at war with political actors, at war with everyone, at war with the criminal justice system. You know that there is a serious precedence in court between who should do what. And the frustrations of the judges is that you can't keep on bringing people before me who you have done poor investigations on. And that's the reason why there's a war between who should write a charge sheet. Is it ODPP or DCI? So what we are saying is simple. DCI, please leave the elections to IEBC. Kenyans have adequate trust on this referee. And my brother has asked you, how can you be a friend to a referee? You cannot play in a game where you don't trust IBC, the referee, technically. And what we are saying, in conclusion, I'm asking Raila Odinga, please stop hiding. Come out, we speak. Kenyans really want to ask you questions. You're answerable and accountable to Kenyans. I think it's vindictive, it is vile, it is not acceptable for you to keep on hiding behind Uhuru Kenyatta and Mother Karua. Come out and speak to Kenyans, because you owe Kenyans critical answers, especially with how the economy has gone to the dogs for the last 5 years.
We literally have
as a quasi-president of this country.
He's closing for us.
You've closed, and I think Mike, my director, is telling me we have to wind this up. I wish I could give each of you time, but we really don't have time for that. Dennis Ndombi, policy and governance expert; Hasbon Owela, media and communications expert; Philip Chebunet, political analyst and lecturer. It's unfortunate we did not have James Mamboleo, constitutional lawyer, to of course just dissect some of these issues. Very interesting tweet here though. Allow me to read it out. I am not so sure of how if this is actually true. Nurdin Adan says the instability in Venezuela caused inability to obtain renewal of expired passports. Thus, it is very possible to travel with an expired Venezuelan passport for a maximum of 5 years from the expiry date. I am not sure. I cannot verify this information. We'll have to dig much deeper into that. But of course, we are also keeping a very close eye on that accident at Nithi River. More than 20 people feared dead at this point. We'll be getting more details on the same. Thank you so much for watching AM Live NTV. But the conversation doesn't end here. Your World is coming in just a moment, and Winnie Lubembe should be here on the other side of the studio. Winnie, good morning. What do you have for us?
Good morning, Zaina. Very interesting conversation you had today. And of course, we just want to sort of continue with the same, and that is as far as election preparedness is concerned. And today we just want to understand how prepared are we, and can NCIC, which we'll be talking to this morning on Your World, can they guarantee Kenyans election that is devoid of violence? So of course, that is what we'll be focusing on. We just want to understand where are we. There are some areas that have been mapped as hotspots. What has the commission done just to make sure that at the end of the day, come August 9th and even after, that Kenya will still remain in peace? So that is what we'll be focusing on this morning on Your World.
All right. Good morning.